I guess it's time to begin our program now. So, good morning, everyone. It's time to begin Art Festival in Happiness. Happiness is right here. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and especially during your busy schedule. My name is Joanne, and I will be your MC for this event. It's my pleasure to welcome you all. So before we begin, here are a few important notes. First, please keep your microphone muted and your camera turned on throughout the event. Next, this session will be recorded and we kindly ask for your understanding and cooperation. Screenshots may also be taken during the event, and these images may be published on Empath's website or social media channels later. If you do not wish to appear in these images, please join with your camera turned off. If you have any questions, please use the Zoom chat function, and we kindly ask everyone to use the chat box for discussions relevant to the topic and avoid mentioning unrelated topics or messages. Lastly, we'll have a timekeeper to help keep track of presenters' time. If it pops up on your screen, feel free to either accept it or ignore it. And lastly, we love to know where everyone is joining from. So please drop your location in the chat box. Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. So let me give you a bit of explanation about the Mizuhiki Art Program. Yes, we would like to everyone to be part of our Mizuhiki Art Program. The theme for this program is connection. All you need to do is to write a short message about what connection means to you in your own language, along with your name or nickname and the country you're joining from. We'll present the completed artwork at the end of the event, and we will be delighted to share this together with everyone. We'll share the link in the chat box. Okay, any minute now, Yukako-san. Okay, so there is the link for that message. A short one is wonderful, and we're excited to see everyone's participation. Lastly, please make sure to send your message before the break and later. Okay. And before we begin, or before we have our opening remarks, let me briefly walk you through today's program. We are delighted to have 5 outstanding presenters who will share their knowledge and experiences on the theme Art Festival and Happiness. Happiness is right here. We will start with Yuko Hatori, director of the Horizumi Art Project. Next, we'll hear from Julia Pfister, director of Studio ACE. Following her is Mark Anielski, president and CWO of Anielski Management Incorporated. Then we have Frank Martela, philosopher and researchers. And our fifth presenter is John Helliwell, economist and co-editor of the World Happiness Report. And for our art program, we will feature a special presentation by Yukari Suda, a Mizuhiki artist. I hope that gives everyone even more excitement and anticipation for today's event. Okay, so to officially start the event, I would like to invite Mr. Hiro Matsura, Representative Director of Empath Foundation, to share his welcome message. Hiro-san?
Thank you, Jonathan. Hi, everyone, and thanks for coming here. I'm so happy to meet everyone here. I will tell what Empath, our purpose, is more shortly. We would like to make a world a better place. And as Japanese foundation, the harmony is quite important. And for me, harmony is like a people globally connected, no border, and different background, different culture, just as a people we're living and we connected. So I make something online event, and I like people resonate on this event. So that's one of the beautiful situation. And another thing, normally we are connected with the local, the community. So I would like all the people appreciate our own community. So we have art festival organizers here. They are going to show you how to appreciate own community, your community. And the last one is like, as people, as individual, we should appreciate own unique artistic sense. So today we have three happiness experts. They're gonna tell you happiness is something, it's not really far, actually really in front of you, whether you realize or not. So on this event, I would like everyone feel some resonate and some harmony ambience and connected on this online. And at the end, we have a art program, Japanese Mizuhiki Art Program, which is not only she make the art, like everyone here, presenters and all the participants are very important. We create some art program together. That's important. Only one exists. So please enjoy. This is takes like 3 hours, but please enjoy this 3 hours moment together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hiro-san, for your opening remarks. And to greet everyone who is in this event, I would like to call on Hideki Makihara, former Minister of Justice, but unfortunately he wouldn't be with us today due to an urgent matter. But we are delighted to share with you his video greeting, and Yuhei-san will play that video. Yuhei?
Hi, everyone. I'm Hideki Makihara, a former Minister of Justice of Japan, and I serve as an advisor to Empath. Thank you for joining us today at Art Festival and Happiness. I'm truly delighted to have this opportunity to be involved in Empath activities. It is incredibly precious to see all of you gathered from around the world sharing this moment. Our theme today is art and happiness. Art is often seen as something special, requiring specific skills and knowledge. However, the true meaning of art lies not just in the work itself, but in the experience, how it moves our heart. And happiness, too, is not something that can be completed alone. When we connect with others and share our emotions, happiness becomes even richer. Empath is precisely this place for feeling, sharing, and connecting, even across different countries and cultures. There are moments when our hearts are moved in similar ways. These moments hold a greater power than we might imagine. I myself have been to more than 100 countries where I enjoyed the local cultures and arts. Through these experiences, I strongly believe art possesses such power. What you feel today, those emotions truly hold value. These small feelings may eventually encourage someone or even help make the world a better place. So please relax and savor this time with an open heart. May this encounter today becomes a source of strength for tomorrow. And I hope that we can meet again somewhere. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much for your warm greeting, Hideki-san. And thank you, Yuhei, for playing the video. So now we will begin with our presentation. Let me introduce to you all our first presenter, Yuko Hatori. Yuko is an expert in agriculture and conservation ecology, has worked from Japan to Guatemala on environmental education through a JICA project while supporting Latin American artists. Returning to Japan, she merged her love of nature and art to found the Horizumi Art Project in 2018, which hosts the annual Horizumi Art Days exhibition. She now leads the Horizumi Art Park concept, fostering a global art community that connects people, creativity, and nature. Let's all welcome Yuko Hatori. Yuko, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm Yuko Hatori. Thank you for inviting me here today. I'm currently hosting an art festival. Incidentally, this year's theme is Prayer for Happiness. So I'm really delighted to be here. And I'm going to speak in Japanese, so I think that everybody can learn more about our project. Can I share the... Okay. Eh, では、ここからは日本語で、話したいと思います。
I'm going to speak in Japanese from here.
アートを通した関係性から幸福について今日は考えたいと思います。
We are going to think about happiness through connection and art.
まず最初に私たちのプロジェクトについて話したいと思います。
First, I'm going to talk about our project.
原泉は日本の中心あたりに位置する、静岡県西部
すいま
の、
せん、画面現れてます？画
everybody
面
can
の、
see the-
なんか、正しく出てないですよ。
出て
ゆうべさん、出てないよね。出てないです。
ない。
シェアが多分、スクリーンがシェアがうまくいってない。
Okay. So I'm sharing. Okay, I will try again.
うん、
What's now?
大丈夫です。
Yeah, okay.
はい。
Okay. So now about 原泉ね。原泉は日本の中心あたりに位置する静岡県西部の掛川市の最北端の中山間地に位置しています。
Hara-izumi is located in the northernmost part of Kakegawa City in the western region of Shizuoka Prefecture near the center of Japan.
エリア内には清流や牧場カフェ、温泉や人気のキャンプ場などがあり、小さな観光スポットがあります。
Within the area, there are small tourist attractions such as clear streams, ranch cafes, hot springs, and popular campgrounds.
一方で、日本の国土の7割を占める他の山間地と同じように、高齢化、人口減少が進んでいる地域でもあります。
At the same time, like many other mountainous regions that make up about 70% of Japan's land, it faces challenges such as aging population and population decline.
地域の規模は人口およそ500名、世帯160ほどです。
The region has a population of approximately 500 people and about 106 households.
こちらが原泉の風景で、このように山々が広がる自然豊かな地域です。この風景は決して驚くような美しい風景ではありませんが、日本人の誰もがノスタルジーを感じるような普遍的な日本の里山です。
This is the landscape of Haraizumi, a region surrounded by expansive mountains and rich nature. While the scenery may not be strikingly spectacular, it represents the classic Satoyama landscapes that evoke a sense of nostalgia familiar to all Japanese people.
では、私たちのプロジェクトです。私たちの団体の主軸にあるのが、原泉エア、すなわち原泉アーティスト・イン・レジデンスです。
I'm going to talk about our project. At the heart of our organization is Haraizumi Air, the Haraizumi Artists in Residence program.
毎年様々な国から参加し、すべてのアーティストがこの土地でたくさんの交流をしながら作品を作り上げます。アーティストは家族でのパフォーマンスチームの参加、子連れでの制作、国籍、性別も様々です。
Every year, artists from various countries participate, creating their work while engaging in extensive exchanges within this community. Participants include family performance teams, artists working with children, and individuals of diverse nationalities and genders.
アーティストたちは主に秋の展覧会、原泉アートデイズに向けて制作を行います。これが本日のテーマであるアートフェスティバルで、2018年から開催して今年8年目を迎えます。
The artists primarily create their works for the autumn exhibition Haraizumi Art Days, which is the focus of today's topic, the Art Festival. The festival has been held annually since 2018, and this year marks its 8th edition.
まさに現在開催中で、日本にいらっしゃる方は、ぜひ今月末までに、訪れてください。QR コードもあります。
It's currently ongoing, and for those in Japan, we encourage you to visit before the end of this month. There is the QR code for the event.
今年は日本を含む6つの国と地域から参加しています。
This year, artists from 6 countries and regions, including Japan, are participating.
アートデイズは、全長 9km の原泉全域に作品が展示されていて、来場者の皆さんは秋の自然を楽しみながら、ご自身で自分で会場を回っていただきます。
Artworks are displayed throughout the entire 9-kilometer area of Haraizumi, allowing visitors to explore the venues at their own pace while enjoying the autumn scenery.
それから空き家、空き施設、工作放棄地を滞在制作、展示会場として活用しているのが特徴で、これまで23カ所を、活用してきました。
A distinctive feature of the festival is that we utilize vacant houses, unused facilities, and abandoned farmland as residency studios and exhibition spaces. To date, we have made use of 23 locations.
地域内には2010年に閉校となった旧原泉小学校を地域住民が主体となって管理してテナント貸しをする施設があります。
Within the region, there's a facility managed primarily by local residents at the former Haraizumi Elementary School, which closed in 2010. Parts of the buildings are rented out as tenant spaces.
ここで、一つの教室を借りてた現代美術家、中瀬千恵子彼女ですね、との出会いがきっかけとなり、当団体発足しました。
Our organization was founded after I had the opportunity to meet contemporary artist Chieko Nakase, which is in the picture, who had rented one of the classrooms.
彼女がかつてマケドニアで経験した滞在制作の現場と、私が中南米でサポートしていたシアターフェスティバルの、参加、アーティストたちの交流の現場が、私たちの団体を作る原風景となっています。
Her experience with artist residencies in Macedonia, combined with my experience supporting artists at theater festivals in Latin America, became the inspirational foundation for our organization.
それはどんなものかというと、アーティストだけではなく、それを支えるスタッフや地域の方々など、国籍や立場を超えて、ワインや鍋を囲みながらですね、アートを通じて交流して、人として学びを得て成長することです。で、そういった場所をここハライズでも作りたくて、プロジェクトを立ち上げました。
What this looks like in practice is a space where not only artists, but also supporting staff and local residents come together across nationalities and roles, sharing wine and hot pot meals, connecting through art and learning and growing as human beings. We wanted to create a space like this here in Haraizumi, which led to the launch of our project.
私たちが大切にしていることは、この滞在制作を通じて、アーティスト同士、地域とアーティスト、サポーターなど、アート活動を通して交流が起こり、関係性が築き上げられることにあります。
What we value most is that through residency-based creation, meaningful exchanges and relationships are built between artists themselves, between the region and artists, and with supporters, all through the medium of art.
これは最初の年の開催の時のパーティーの様子です。2018年。ここでは、VIP の方も地域の方も海外アーティストも若いサポーターも協賛企業みんな分け隔てなくアートを通して場を共有しています。
This photo shows a scene from the party during the first 2018 festival. Here, VIPs, local residents, international artists, young supporters, and sponsoring companies all come together without distinction, sharing the space through art.
アートレジデンシー、すなわち私たちのハライズミエアはお互いのことをより知るための場になっています。そのプロセスで関係性が作られていきます。
The artist residency, that is Haraizumi Air, serves as a space for participants to get to know each other more deeply. Through this process, relationships are built, and these relationships form a community.
そしてその関係性がコミュニティを作ります。アートフェスティバル、私たちのこのハライズミアートデイズでは、人々にそのコミュニティに訪れてもらい、その学びを広げ、共有する場所となっています。
At the art festival, Haraizumi Art Days, people are invited to experience this community and share the learning and connections they encounter.
では、関係性について見ていきたいと思います。
So let's look at the relationships.
まずは、アーティスト自身の関係性です。
First, there's the relationship an artist has with themselves.
アーティストは自然豊かな地での制作活動で時間と空間、資源を得ることができます。
Working in a nature-rich environment gives artists time, space, and resources to create.
そこで感覚が開かれ、自分自身とじっくり向き合いながら制作する機会を与えられます。
In this setting, their senses are opened and they are given the opportunity to work deeply in reflection with themselves.
2つ目はアーティストとアーティストの関係です。
The second is the relationship between artists.
私たちの最大の特徴ですが、原泉エアミールスといって、毎日2食を共にします。これはまさについ先日の食事の風景ですが、食事を通じて、真の仲間意識へ芽生え、共に、切磋琢磨する関係を築きます。
Another key feature of our AIR program is Haraizumi AIR meals, where participants share 2 meals together every day. This photo shows a scene from a meal just a few days ago. Through these shared meals, a genuine sense of camaraderie emerges, fostering relationships of mutual support and constructive challenge.
また、アーティスト自らの体験を全員に、話す場所も設けています。
We also provide opportunities for artists to share their personal experiences with the group, creating further connection.
3つ目は、地域社会とアーティストの関係です。
The third type of relationship is between the artists and the local community.
地域との接続は大変多くて、このいろんな場面、あらゆる機会で地域の人たちが制作活動などに協力してくださり、制作プロセスの中で交流しています。
Connections with the community are extensive. Locals actively collaborate in the artists' creative activities, allowing for meaningful exchanges throughout the creative process.
海外アーティストと地域住民たちは言葉は通じませんが、さまざまな機会で共有して、関係を築いています。
Even when international artists and local residents do not share a common language, they interact through various opportunities and build meaningful relationships.
アーティストと自然の関係もとても大切な要素です。地域内の山を登ったり、焚き火や川遊び、地域の農業を手伝ったりという活動を通して自然を体験して関係を築きます。
The relationship between artists and nature is also a very important element. By hiking the local mountains, enjoying campfires and rivers, or helping with local farming, artists experience and connect with nature firsthand.
また私たちは毎年、神社の境内やお寺なども活用しています。これは地域の皆さんの理解と協力があってこそ実現しています。
Additionally, we make use of local shrines and temple grounds each year. This is only possible thanks to the understanding and cooperation of the local community.
7年かけてこのアーティストと地域とそれから原泉アートプロジェクト、の関係、この3つの関係が、作られてきました。はい。で、現在は、海外アーティストとともに、美術館や近隣アーティストセンターなどへ出向いて、広域ネットワーク作りにも臨んでいます。
Currently, international artists also visit museums and nearby art centers, working to build a broader network beyond Haraizumi.
このように原泉アーティストインレジデンスの活動を通じて原泉にある時間空間資源という、リソースをアーティストたちそしてプロジェクトがですね使ってこのような図のような関係が生まれていることが分かりました。
Through these Haraizumi Air activities, we can see how artists and the project fully utilize the 3 resources available in Haraizumi: time, space, and resources, which in turn fosters a kind of relationship illustrated in this diagram.
実際の人や社会で構成される原泉地区、自然、そして私たちのアートプロジェクトが原泉というコミュニティを結成し、 交流や学び、ホスピタリティを参加アーティストたちと共有し合っていきます。
The Haraizumi community, composed of real people, society, and nature, together with our art project, forms the Haraizumi community, providing exchange, learning, and hospitality with the participating artists.
これらを受けて参加アーティストたちはコミュニティに高い質の作品や高齢化の進んだ地域に、意欲やモチベーションを与え、アーティスト、人として成長する姿を示し、関係人口の創出に貢献します。そして敬意を持って作家人生を変えるほどの挑戦をして、その全てを還元していきます。
Through this engagement, participating artists contribute by Through this engagement, participating artists contribute by offering high quality artwork to the community and inspiring motivation and enthusiasm in a region facing population aging. They also demonstrate personal and artistic growth, taking respectful, transformative challenges that impact their artistic careers, all while giving back to the community.
この緩いつながりが程よい距離感としてお互いの無理のない関わりによる関係性の継続が可能となっています。
These loose yet meaningful connections create a comfortable distance, allowing relationships to continue naturally without pressure.
アートを通じてコミュニティが新たに再構成されています。
Through art activities, the community is being reconfigured anew.
はい。この写真は若者が減って地域のお祭りで出汁を引くことが難しくなった集落に海外の若手パフォーマーが居合わせてお祭りが再現された時の様子です。地域の皆さんと彼らが一緒に楽しい時間を過ごした時の、写真です。
This photo shows a moment in a village where the decline in young people made it difficult to pull the festival floats. Here, young international performers joined in, helping to revive the festival. The photo was taken after they shared a joyful time with the local residents.
その他、さまざまな取り組みが地域の中で行われて、アーティスト、地域住民、来場者が交流して、その瞬間を共に味わいながら、新しい形のコミュニティを築いてきました。
In addition, a variety of other activities take place across different locations in the community, and each time through the artworks, artists, local residents, and visitors interact, sharing the moment together and building a new form of community.
So I'm going to talk quickly. なので最後に、アートはですね、あらゆる分断を超えて、新しいつながりを創造する可能性があるのだと思いまして、私たちはそれを実際体験してます。
Art has the potential to transcend all divisions and create new connections, and I firsthand experienced that.
で、ここではつながりや関係性が幸福感を育んでいます。
Connections and relationships foster a sense of happiness.
で、もちろんアート作品自体の力はもちろんですが、制作や交流のプロセスにおいて、アーティストが新しい挑戦に幸福感を感じて得た学びを来場者にシェアすることで、原泉アートデイズの魅力を高めています。
The power of the artworks themselves is undeniable, but by sharing the happiness artists find in embracing new challenges and the lessons learned through the creative process and exchanges, Haraizumi Art Days enhances its appeal.
Thank you for listening. And I'm currently have a 4-month-old son, and since I have an event tomorrow or today as well, so I'd like to participate as much as possible today, but please excuse me if I need leave earlier. Yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for translating as well. 通訳ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much, Yuko, for your wonderful presentation. And everyone, let's give Yuko a round of applause. Yeah. Okay.
Thank
And
you.
yes, thank you so much, Yuko. And if you have any questions about Yuko's presentation, please send them through the chat box, and we're going to answer those questions later. Yes. Thank you so much once again,
Thank
Yuko-san.
you.
Okay. So up next, we have for our next presenter, we have Julia Pfister. Julia Pfister is the founder and executive director of Studio ACE, a nonprofit art education center in Oceanside, California, dedicated to making art accessible to all. With degrees in finance, art, and a master's in art history from San Diego State University, she previously led education programs at the Oceanside Museum of Art and the Museum of Making Music. Inspired by art's transformative power, Julia founded Studio ACE to ensure creativity and connection through art are available to everyone. Let's all welcome Julia. Julia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Joanne, and good morning. Good morning from Oceanside, California. I'd love to say it's a sunny morning, but it's pouring down rain here, which is actually very exciting for us. So, and thank you, Yuko, for your presentation. It was just amazing. I'm going to talk today about art and happiness in regards to a festival that I put on called the Valley Arts Festival. But this whole idea of art and happiness really come from so many different places and different ways and different times for each one of us. It's so personal, whether we are creating our own painting, we're watching a play and having the words kind of resonate within you, and you have something to relate to. If you're dancing by yourself with wild abandon, listening to music, playing music yourself, creating that, or sewing, or cooking, or gardening, or taking photographs, just anything that you can do that makes you creative, resonates within us. And I love this quote by Annie Albers that art is something that makes you breathe with a different kind of happiness. But it's also your own happiness that from within as well. My kind of happiness today that I'm going to talk about is the happiness of helping my community, which is really why I founded Studio ACE, was to provide accessible arts experiences to our community. This is where in the Valley Arts Festival is to celebrate the arts and culture of the San Luis Rey Band of Mission Indians. And this is one of the 7 bands of the Luiseño Nation that's located here in Southern California. And they were the tribe that inhabited our area some 10,000 years ago, up to the present as well, and really had the land to themselves until the white man did come in and colonize them as well. So, as you may or may not know, in America, this time when the white man came in was a terrible time for all the Indians, and for this particular tribe, the Payam-Cowicham. They actually did become enslaved, and then were built a mission. Had to help build the Mission San Luis Rey, but this is kind of the story now of how we are coming, how to build that bridge from the past to the present, and learn about them going forward into the future as well. So I wanted to teach you a Luiseño word. So for the English hello is me, you. So if I would say me, you to you, to everyone, I would say me, you, yam, but you could say me, you back to me. So we have a very lovely language here. Their language was actually brought into being by one of the first Indians that was brought to the Vatican by Pablo Toc so many years ago. And he actually wrote down the Luiseño language, which is why it still exists today, which is really pretty amazing. So I'm just wanted to show you what we do in this festival and how it all happened. I started this with a friend of mine, Linda Callis, who I believe is on it. And we sat down and spoke with the tribal elders. And you see Mel Vernon there on the left. He is the captain of the San Luis Rey Band of Mission Indians, and he's there with the mayor at the beginning of the event. And really just wanted to talk about how we could teach people about their culture, but do it through the arts. And I find the arts is just such a beautiful way to teach people about things they don't know about and to find more commonalities than we do differences and to come together. So the Valley Arts Festival happens on one day. We just had our recent one last Saturday in a park, in Heritage Park. And this park is actually where the San Luis Rey Band lived before the white man came. So we're actually on their sacred ground, which is kind of just a really beautiful place. And so the purpose of the festival is to show the community, the arts and the culture that this Indian tribe has, but also show that they exist here with us now, and they're a part of us and a part of the future, and find a way that we can all, understand the past and bring it forward and bridge to the future. This is me here with Diana Caudell. She is actually Mel Vernon's sister, the captain's sister, and she is very involved in basket weaving. She's part of the California Basket Weaving Association. And what we learned from Diana, other than just the idea of basket weaving, is how important the land was to these Indians and today. And this really came through the idea of they use tule or willow to make their baskets. But as she taught us, they would run the willow through their mouths. So today, if we use pesticides and things like that, you are no longer able to do that because you could become poisoned. So a new way to kind of learn about the land and why this pollution and chemicals are so important, but through a really beautiful way to do it. This is one of the murals. We usually have a mural created for each of the festivals. So this was our 5th year this year. And we see here, that is the San Luis Rey River that the festival is very close to. And we also kind of see a mock-up of what they might have looked like. We do have the mountains and the hills in the background. And the little huts that you see there, you might be more familiar with teepees, but the places where they lived were called quichas. And they were rounded teepees that you see here, built out of the tule willow on a frame. And then they were usually rebuilt each year as well. And then you see some of the beautiful baskets that they actually imitate, have the same. We have those baskets here today that Diana has shown us and seen them gathering around. Here we are at the festival, and we have right behind us is a kind of our gazebo and stage. But I want you to kind of look at the entire thing here, and you see the tents all around and these beautiful trees all over the park. And you could understand why the tribe wanted to live here all these many years ago. Some of these trees are from those times, and it really just holds such a spiritual meaning to them. Prior to the festival, they actually go around and sage the entire area to show that we are on sacred ground. And you see here some of the opening dances done by the young children. And this is another beautiful thing that has happened. A lot of the traditions were kind of forced and pushed away from them. And now they're able to bring this back and have the children participate again. Here is this is Tim Redbird here drumming. And so they're doing the drumming. We do the drumming at the beginning of the festival and at the end. And it's really just it's so beautiful because it kind of, I think, reminds us of that, of our mother's heartbeat, which is the first music or sound that any of us and all of us have in common that we ever heard. We also have some contemporary musicians. This is Tracy Lee Nelson and Brandon Wallace, who just, again, to show that it is not just about the past, but also how do they bring their traditions into the present. And Tracy Lee also does some native blues and is fairly well known in our area. This is Faustino Fredericks, and a lot throughout the entire festival, we have music being played. Either it is the flutes, the drums, as well as we have a few, show you some of the storytelling there as well. So it's just a beautiful atmosphere. And then in all those tents around there, you can make a variety of crafts as well. This is Marge and Rob Anderson, who just do a beautiful flute playing. Unfortunately, Marge passed away this year, and we had a beautiful tribute to her. We just still felt her spirit within the festival. Here are some of the traditional baskets. I think these baskets take months really to be woven in these particular designs, but these are Luisenho designs here. And here's a family enjoying the basket weaving. And again, a way for families to sit down at a table together, learn about the Luisenho culture, and be together and be off screens as well. And here's another table. And there you see the bucket where you would run the tule through the water to wet it before you weave it. We also have a mural where you can participate in doing a mural that will then be displayed the following year up along the fences. And again, here's some of the young dancers. I think in this one here, what is another beautiful thing that they do is, besides just the young dancers dancing, they have audience participation. And so it's the friendship dance. And so to be able to get up and participate in that activity is really a beautiful thing to experience, for sure. And you can kind of see off in the back left there, the tent that says the state parks. So we have state parks, the National Forest, and they all come to this event as well to explain their part in retaining the land as the Luisenho would have known it 10,000 years ago. This is Joanne, who works on our murals, and we see one of the friars there from the mission. We know of the issues that happen, but the San Luis Rey mission is now a big part of the festival. So again, being able to bridge that gap and really try to heal the wounds of the past. And again, this is my friend on the left, Linda Callis, who helped start it with me. And on the right is Mel Vernon, the captain, telling the story of Mel and the Blue Arrow. And so we do a lot of storytelling as well at the festival. This year, we actually had two different elementary schools come in and do a performance of two of the different Luisenho stories. They did The Stink Bug and Keecha Knight's Coyote Dreams. And here's another of the, I think this is at the Pablo Talk School. Again, just everybody participating in different activities. Here's one of the murals that you can see that they have been working on, going around. And so it's kind of, again, fun to sit into this communal setting, meeting people in your community, learning new words, and understanding more about who this tribe was and what they mean to our area. This is an activity that we did, which was sand painting, which was one of the ancient arts as well, where they would not only write the English word, but also the Luisenho word for the animal. This is another mural, The Spirit of the Valley, where we see Mel there with the Keecha on the right and the entire San Luis Rey Valley that they lived in. And here's an actual Keecha that was made last year, and the Tule boat as well that they would have used to go in the ocean or down the river, because this settlement here is probably about 3 miles from the ocean. And so it's just beautiful to have people walking in and out of this and seeing how they lived. And so I'd like to thank you with another Luisenho word, which is Notion Lovic. It means, we translate it as thank you, but it actually means that my heart is full. So thank you all for your attention today, and I hope you've learned a little bit more about the Luiseño Indians. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Julia, for sharing this community with everyone. And how do you say thank you again? Notion Lovik?
Notion Lovik, exactly.
Notion Lovik. Notion
Lo-
Lovik,
Love,
Julia.
absolutely. So remember, me, you for hello, and Notion Lovik for my heart is full or thank you. And it
Wow.
is.
Yes,
Wow.
thank you so much, Julia. Okay, so yeah, for those people who have questions about Julia's presentation, so please send them through the chat box, and we'll answer them later during our Q&A session. Yeah, so let's give Julia a round of applause, everyone. Yes, okay, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Thank you.
Julia. All right, so up next, we're going to have a short break for 10 minutes. And we'd also like to take a minute or two of your time to answer the poll question that is appearing right now on your screen. And we'll also be flashing a timekeeper to monitor the time. So now please stretch, grab a drink, and we'll see you again in a few minutes. And yes, during this break, we'll be playing some music, and I hope everyone will enjoy it. See you guys again later. Yuhei-san? Okay, thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone.
Mm.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. So, before we continue our event, I would like to share the result of the poll questions that you guys answered during the break time. For question number one, what brings you here today? 50% of the participants said because they love art. 9% of you said they are curious about happiness. 30% said they want to feel global connection. Hmm. And 4% said just exploring, and 4% of you said they are interested in empath. And for the second question, where do you find happiness most easily? 30% said in small daily moments. Another 30% said with family and friends. 13% said expressing themselves. Another 13% when contributing to community. And the last 13% is spending time in nature. Yeah, thank you everyone for answering the poll questions.
By the
Okay.
way, one thing, Mary-san, Mary, someone likes the music during the break. Do you know what the music name?
I will share it with you. It's a Japanese songwriter.
Oh, Japanese songwriter. I
yeah.
didn't know.
I'm going to
Yeah.
send that to you in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the Maria-san's question. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we're looking forward to that, Mary-san. Thank you so much. Okay, so without any further ado, let's proceed now to our third presenter. So our third presenter is Mark Anielski. Mark is an international expert in the economics of well-being and happiness. With a background in economics, accounting, and forestry, he created the Genuine Wealth Framework, an accounting system measuring prosperity through social, environmental, and economic well-being. Author of the Economics of Happiness and an Economy of Well-being, Mark continues to promote sustainable, happiness-centered economies with a focus on supporting First Nations communities. Please join me in welcoming Mark. Mark, the floor is yours.
Konnichiwa. Thank you for having me. I'm coming to you from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I'm located at Treaty 6 traditional territory, the First Nations here. And I'm going to talk to you about the strange connection between economics and happiness. And I see my friend John Helliwell here, who's really the international master. And so in 2006, I can move my slides here. She was my students when I taught at the Bainbridge Graduate Institute in Bainbridge Island near Seattle. My students in 2002 said I should write this book about happiness and economics, and people thought this is a very strange connection. How could these two words be in harmony? And as I delved into the origin of the words, the language, the etymological roots of the words, economy means household stewardship, household management, and happiness comes from the Greek word oidaimonia, which means well-being of your soul or well-being of spirit. So happiness lives in your home, with your family. And the root of economy is all about well-being. In fact, the word wealth, one of the more interesting words we use in finance, the word wealth comes from the Old English, means the conditions of well-being. So my entire work, and you can see these artistic expressions on my book cover. The yellow and red are the colors of the Chinese emperors. And I advised China for 3 years as an economic council on their economic policy called Xiaokang, which means a society of well-being. And last year I had the joy of coming to Japan, which I had a lifelong, since I was in grade 5, I wanted to go to Japan. And so I enjoyed great happiness and joy there with my wife. I like to paint with data, and these are pictures of what I call soul prints, where people take my well-being survey, which is always available online, and I call it the soul print of well-being because, as I've defined happiness being the well-being of your soul, from Aristotle. And so this is data that generates data from the well-being survey I conduct. And I conduct these around the world, and I've especially now with First Nations in Canada. And some of the images that are imprinted in that radar graph that's generated out of Excel are flower pictures, and some of them are even my own watercolors. So I do dabble in watercolor. This is our daughter when she was 3. She doesn't like me showing this picture, but now she's 25 and a business consultant. But here's that definition of happiness: well-being of spirit. And Aristotle said happiness comes from a sense of belonging, or a sense of well-being resulting from achieving excellence in the fulfillment of one's functions. Now, I had a friend once said, happiness is exceeded by another word, joy. And for me, joy is that inner spring of life that results from all circumstances in life, including pain and trauma. So happiness could be a fleeting emotion, but joy is like a standing wave of the well-being of your soul, in my view. Aristotle also said happiness results from a good birth accompanied by a lifetime of good friends, good children, health, wealth, and contented old age. And he said virtuous activity. I think that's an interesting word. What is virtue? To live a life according to principles of goodness. And we know statistically now that happy and fulfilled people live 7 years longer, they have stronger social networks, and they're more engaged in their community. Something that I know John knows a lot about from studying international happiness data. I love this John Lennon quote. When I was 5, he said, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. But when I went to school, they asked me, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I wrote down happy. And they told me I didn't understand the assignment. And I told them they didn't understand life. This is one of my watercolors. I like painting quickly. I don't like spending more than 5 minutes doing a painting. But for me, the etymological roots of the word art is to fit, join. Can't even read my slides here, but to fit or join or make. And this is an interesting definition of art. Here's that word wealth. This is a picture from the Monterey. I know, Julia, you're in California. This is the amazing Monterey aquarium, where I took pictures of these incredible jellyfish who, when you watch them, they're like, wow, it's a dance of joy. But there's that word wealth, conditions of well-being. And I think in the financial world, we've long forgotten that that's what it means. The word value from the Latin means to be worthy or strong. And pictures of orchids I took when I went to the Singapore orchid gardens, in that beautiful garden there in Singapore. Picture, of course, Venice. The word competition in Latin means to strive together. So you could see my whole point of my work is that all of this language still resonates with truth, even if we forgot the frequency of love that is behind all these words that we use every day. I've learned a lot from working with First Nations. Their understanding of the human person is not the pyramid like Maslow defined, but in fact, the sacred circle, the hoop of life. Mental to the north, spiritual to the east, physical to the south, emotional to the west. They say that your medicine wheel rotates through time through volition, meaning your free will. It moves clockwise. Therefore, your life is like a wheel that is always in motion. And here's a picture again of one of my survey respondents to these fundamental questions about these attributes of mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional well-being. Questions about anxiety, feeling positive about yourself, having someone to count on, how happy you were in your childhood, your level of joy, your sense of soul peace, feeling loved and feeling belonging, health, and even how you sleep, and even your opinion of politicians. So here's that movement from birth to old age, that medicine wheel. And we know from the happiness research that actually life is a smiley face. You're happiest when you're young, and then you start to fall into a trough, and you come out of that trough around 45 years of age. And John knows when you're in your 70s, you're probably as happy as you'll ever be, unless you look back on when you were 10 years old. So there's that, and this is borne out in statistics and studies. Picture of that beautiful gate in Kyoto. Joy to me, as I said, to me is the ultimate aspiration of life. Joy from the Latin is an expression of pleasure, or joie in the French, meaning delight. Joy is a deeper and abiding sense of happiness experienced in the heart, body, and the soul. And joy could be considered the desired outcome of a life lived fully and well. Joy sustains us throughout all phases of our life, but it's difficult to measure and to define. One of my favorite designers is Ilse Crawford in London, a studio at least, and I've delved into how can we connect buildings and architecture and design to well-being. And she said well-being is always a starting point of her design approach. She designs beautiful things. She designs for IKEA, for example. And I just love this the spirit of their business, which is all about well-being. The science of well-being suggests that we have 50% of our well-being is attributed to our upbringing, what conditions we grew up in, our household. And those are genetic conditions, possibly, but they're also conditions in which you found yourself, you were born into. And the Korea have a saying that every child born is an answer to a prayer. And often when I asked the First Nations I work with, what was the prayer that you were born into? What is your spirit name? Because every child and every teenager would go through a process of discerning what their spirit name is. And Julie, you know that from working with Indigenous people in California. And this is true across all traditional First Nations on Turtle Island. North America is known as Turtle Island, not Canada, the United States. And I could say some fun things about Donald Trump, how he doesn't understand very much about these stories. But the best news of the science of happiness is 40% relates to our relationships with each other. And of course, that includes expressions like art. But if relationship is something we can decide day to day, moment to moment, we can then decide that we are engaged daily in expressing our love for each other. And to me, my whole motivation in life is that love is our vocation. Love is who we are. So for my research, and John, you know this too, is I've had about 4,500 people around the world take my well-being survey, including all of Ireland, including the Northern Ireland in 2021 during COVID. And statistically, these are the key variables that correlated most highly to the question of how would you assess your life in terms of life satisfaction today, and all things considered over your life? The number one, the most highly correlated variable is self-rated happiness, which is not surprising. Number two is that my life has meaning. And there's number three, joy, and number four, hope. And you don't see making money on this list at all, or it's further down on that list. This is me when I was 3, when I think I was probably happier than, maybe I'm happy now. Now I'm 65, so on my way to Hamburg, Germany. Life satisfaction, you said, it can be defined as being engaged in life and being curious and feeling flow, life as flow. Here again, some pretty pictures. This is my friend Emily Cheng in New York, an artist who paints Taoist images, and I've put her art on the backdrop of these soul prints. That image on the right is actually a pointillated. I have a friend who does, she literally does soul prints. She picks up on your energy and she then creates this image using just the pen, and it creates these dots. So that right-hand image is supposedly my soul print from her interpretation of me. The Wellbeing Survey of Ireland was very interesting, and you can find it. I can send you that report, but I mapped out well-being across every county in Ireland, which was really fun. And lastly, I'm going to end with a quote from Confucius, Kongza: "Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated." Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Mark. Yes, let's give Mark a round of applause, everyone. Yes, and for those of you who have any questions about Mark's presentation, so please send them in the chat box. We'll answer them later. Okay, once again, thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so up next we have Frank Martela. And Frank Martela is a philosopher and psychology researcher focused on what makes life meaningful and how societies can better support human well-being. An assistant professor at Aalto University in Finland, he teaches on creativity, purpose, and the art of living. Holding PhDs in both philosophy and organizational research, Frank co-founded Philosopian Academia Oy, which helps organizations foster motivation and meaning at work. A contributor to the World Happiness Report, he is an expert on why Nordic countries rank among the world's happiest, with his work featured in outlets like the New York Times, Scientific American, and Harvard Business Review. Unfortunately, Frank couldn't be with us today due to an urgent matter, but we are delighted to share his video presentation with you. And Yuhei-san will play that video. Yuhei-san? Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm Frank Martela, and I come from Aalto University in Helsinki, in Finland. And it's very unfortunate that I couldn't be there in live and in person due to conflicting issues, but I still thought that it's worth talking about one topic. And the topic is actually why we should not pursue happiness. So in a seminar on happiness, I think it's always good to have this bit of a contrasting view. And the view that I'm going to be present is quite much building on my recent book, Stop Chasing Happiness, A Pessimist's Guide to a Good Life, that just came out earlier this year. And in there, I basically give like 4 arguments why happiness actually is not a very good goal for us in life. So first thing is that quite often when we start consciously pursuing happiness, trying to strive to be more happy, we tend to look for it in the wrong places. So we trying to look for it by earning more money or having more materialistic things, buying things that are in the advertisements and so forth. And all of that usually leaves us quite empty-handed. We might have strived for those things, gotten the things that we wanted, but actually don't feel any more happy, because usually the sources of happiness are not found from the things that people or that are advertised on the TV or in social media. So that's the first reason why we shouldn't be pursuing happiness, that we quite often don't know actually what makes us happy, and because of that we pursue it from the wrong places. The second reason is even more direct. There's actually research showing that those people who are most striving to maximize their own happiness tend to be less happy than other people. So actually the pursuit of happiness can paradoxically make us less happy. And the reason is quite much to do with the fact that if you are all the time trying to maximize your happiness, it becomes harder and harder to be satisfied with whatever you have in life. So you might try to do something, you might get there, but no, it doesn't. It's kind of like the pursuit of happiness itself then becomes the obstacle, because when you get something, you actually feel that, okay, this made me quite happy, but why didn't it make me even happier? So you have a job, it has made you happy for 20 years, but you're constantly thinking, would there be some other job that would make me even happier? You have a lovely spouse, he or she has made you happy for 20 years, but you're constantly thinking, would some other spouse make me even happier? And this contemplating whether the grass is greener on the other side of the field makes you less able to enjoy whatever you have in life. And because of that, then you actually become less happy with what you have. Third reason why pursuing happiness is kind of like this bad goal for life is that it can also, according to research, make us more lonely. And here the problem is that, pursuing happiness is a very selfish project. I focus on my own happiness. So if somebody, a friend of mine is unhappy, then I'm like, okay, don't come to me with your problems. I want to remain happy. And of course, from research, we know that actually deep relationships is one of the key sources of happiness for us humans. So if I start to ignore my friends, if I start to only focus on my own things, looking out after number one, that actually can make me miss on social relationships, make me more lonely, and through that again erode my actual happiness. And finally, if you have a culture where you ought to be happy, where you feel that actually I shouldn't be unhappy, it's a failure in life to be unhappy, that actually makes it even harder to bear those moments in life when you actually are unhappy. And all of us will have those moments. Nobody will go through life without any tragedies. Some of your loved ones will die sooner or later if you don't die first. Some project you have will fail. You might not get that job that you want. You might end up having a divorce. You might end up the person you fall in love with doesn't fall in love with you. There's always going to be some tragedies and bad things happening in our life. And the normal reaction to those situations is to feel a bit unhappy. So feeling unhappy is nothing, exceptional. It's something which is just part of life. But if you have a strong culture saying that you always ought to be happy, you shouldn't have any negative feelings, that actually makes it even harder to go through those moments, because not only are you unhappy, but you have also failed to live up to the cultural standards of your society. So for all these reasons, I think that actually pursuing happiness, having happiness as a very strong conscious goal, trying to maximize your own happiness, is actually something that you shouldn't be doing. And here I like to quote Martin Seligman, who is the founder of positive psychology movement, who wrote in 2001 this best-selling book, Authentic Happiness, which was this best-selling book around the world. And later on, he wrote a second book, some 10 years later, where he actually said that, I actually detest the word happiness, which is so overused that it has become almost meaningless. It's an unworkable term for science or for any practical goals such as education, therapy, public policy, or just changing your personal life. And there's also research showing that actually there's different societies have different social pressures to be happy. So for example, this one study compared 40 different countries, and they found that this felt societal pressure to be happy, which was higher in some countries, lower in other countries, is particularly linked to poor well-being countries with a higher World Happiness Index. So especially in the happier countries, this pressure to be even more happy was something that actually increased people's negative feelings and decreased their happiness. So building our societies around the pursuit of happiness is not only bad on the individual level, but on a cultural level as well. It's actually detrimental for individual happiness. But at the same time, I would say that let's not ignore happiness totally. Like let's not say that that happiness is something that we shouldn't be like paying any attention to. I tend to say that we should relate to happiness as we relate to a thermometer. It's a very useful tool. If the thermometer goes up or if it goes down, it usually tells you something, give you some information about how the world is working. If you're inside the home and thermometer starts to go down and it's cold outside, then you might realize that hey, the window might be open or the door might be opened or the other problems might be going on in the house. And because of that, then you can react, you can put on a coat or whatever. But what you are not doing in this situation is actually that you're not going to tinker with the thermometer itself to push it to be, having a higher number. And it's the same for happiness, focusing too much on it directly, try to push your own happiness up is not going to be an effective strategy. Instead, treat happiness as information. If you have like positive feelings, it usually tells that there's something positive in your environment. If you have negative feelings, it usually tells there's something negative going on in your environment or within yourself. And then try to figure out what that is and try to change that. But don't focus on happiness itself, but it's kind of like more this side product of life going well. And the next thing is, okay, if we are not pursuing happiness, what should we then pursue in life? And here I said that, let's try to like just live a meaningful life. Wouldn't that be nice? And when I say meaningful life, I'm again like not saying that it should be like put into this pedestal as some goal that you're trying to maximize, but it's more about these very everyday things where usually the sense of meaningfulness comes from. For example, one of the key sources of meaningfulness is close relationships. So there was this one study where they asked people to choose one thing that makes your life meaningful. So people could say anything. And in this study, it turned out that 2/3 of participants started to speak about their family or a certain family member. And second most common answer was people started to speak about their friends or a certain friend. So 4 out of 5 people in this study where they could talk about any source of meaningfulness actually started to talk about some close relationships in their lives. And here it's important to emphasize that it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. So it's not about whether you have like 10 people or 10,000 people following you on a certain social media. That doesn't give rise to this sense of relatedness. If you're pursuing relatedness from that, you're going to come out empty-handed. Instead, it's about like having these few, it can be just, counted with your one hand, high quality relationships in your life. People who care about you, whom you care about, with whom you can be your own self, with whom you know that if you call them in the middle of the night, they're going to be answering. Those are the people where you get quite much of the happiness and meaningfulness in your life. Another key source of meaningfulness is actually something that I've been myself studying in my several studies. One of my studies was I was at University of Rochester in upstate New York at that point, and I asked the local students to come to the computer class and play this very simple synonym game. So there's one word in the top, and then you click on the synonym of that. So in this case, peek, the synonym would be quick look. The students played this for 20 minutes and then answered a brief survey about how they felt right now. And half of the students played it like this. Other half of the students were told that for every correct answer, we donate a small amount of rice to the World Food Program to help end hunger. So the same program, or same game, same activity, but with a small positive impact in the life of other people. And what it found out is that people who played the game in this latter condition actually found more positive feelings afterwards, so they were happier, but they also found the gameplay as much more meaningful. And other studies have, for example, shown that when people do small acts of kindness in their workplace, bring a cup of coffee to your colleague. If you have a customer, say to the customer, hey, you have a very nice shirt, or some of these small things that you can do during the everyday work life. When you do that for a couple of weeks, that actually increases your sense of meaningfulness at work. So connecting with others is a quite key source of human happiness and meaningfulness. And it's about like relatedness and it's about contribution. So relatedness is about having high quality relationships in your life, and contribution is about making sure that you have a positive impact in the life of other people. You're able to delight other people, help other people in smaller or bigger ways. And based on this, I actually came up with this one sentence answer to the question where meaningfulness comes to our life. Because as a relatively well-known philosopher in Finland, I'm quite often, if I go to a bar, there's some person coming to me and said, "Hey, you're the philosopher, aren't you? Tell me, what is the meaning of life?" And for those situations, I thought that, having this one sentence answer is quite a good thing, because I'm very happy to give longer lectures on the topic, but in a bar, when I'm ordering a beer, usually me and the other person are happy to get over the question of meaning with one sentence. And the one sentence answer was that meaning in life is about making yourself meaningful to other people. So my life becomes meaningful when I feel that I'm somehow meaningful to somebody else. And I'm meaningful to somebody else through this sense of relatedness and through this sense of contribution. But then actually, I realized at one point that this is only half the answer to the question where meaningfulness comes from. And I realized that when William Damon told this example, who's this quite famous researcher around purpose, especially among the young people, and he had this example of this one surgeon that he had met, and the surgeon was a specialist in certain kind of heart surgeries, which meant that he went to the workplace in the morning, then did a couple of surgeries and came home and said that, okay, again, I saved a few human lives. So he was in an occupation where he was able to save human lives on a regular basis. So we might think that there couldn't be any more meaningful occupation than that. But at the same time, he himself felt that, actually, that he had like hard time going to the workplace in the morning because he felt that he has started to hate his own job. And the reason he hated his own job was that he felt that it was not actually his own thing. He had gone through life trying to please other people. So his parents told him that you should go to the medical school. He went to medical school. In the medical school, the teachers told him that you should become a surgeon. So he became a surgeon, but he had never stopped to think himself what he actually wants to do in life. And finally, when he stopped to think about that, he realized that he wants to do something completely different and quit his career there and started to educate for a completely different field. And the moral of the story is that for this sense of meaningfulness, it's not enough that we connect with other people, we also have to connect with ourselves. And there's also studies showing that this is true. So for example, this one study by Rebecca Schlegel and her colleagues showed that when people were asked to write about their true self, what kind of person you are in innermost being. And then another group of people were asked to write about the bookstore next door. And then the researcher looked at how detailed answers people gave to this topic, the question. It turned out that writing longer or shorter essays about the bookstore didn't have any relationship with people's sense of meaningfulness, but for those people who wrote about their true self, the longer essay they were able to write about this topic, the more they experienced a sense of meaningfulness. And of course, if you want to live a meaningful life, live through according to your own values and interest, then you have to learn to know yourself, because it's hard to make choices based on your own values and interests if you don't know what are your own values and interests. And one of my own studies, again, together with my colleagues from Chile, we were looking at Chilean university graduates in the work life and looking at what are the factors that contribute to them experience their work as meaningful. And in this study, particularly important factors were the sense of autonomy and sense of contribution. So connecting with oneself through autonomy, connecting with others through contribution. So because of that, when I think about what makes life meaningful, I think that one part is it's connected with others through relatedness and contribution, but then the other part is connecting with oneself through sense of autonomy and sense of competence. So autonomy being about being able to connect with your interests, your values, live life in your own terms according to your own values. And then this sense of competence is also about connecting to yourself and your skills and whatever you have learned throughout your career, and how being able to put that into use, get things done through your activities. And all of that leads to me to this one sentence answer that I nowadays give to the question, where does meaningfulness in life come from? And that's what I'm going to leave you with. And the answer is, meaning in life is about making things that are meaningful to you in a way that make yourself meaningful to other people. With that thought, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your video presentation with us about the happiness and meanings of life, Frank. And if you have questions about Frank Martela, so please drop them in the chat box, so we'll answer them later. Okay, so we're down to our final presenter. Yes, so Mr. John Helliwell. John Helliwell is one of the leading happiness researchers in the world, Senior Fellow of the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research and Co-Director on Social Interactions, Identity and Well-Being. He is also Professor Emeritus of Economics at the University of British Columbia, a member of the National Statistics Council, and a research associate of the National Bureau of Economic Research. His many publications on well-being include The Science of Well-Being, Well-Being for Public Policy, International Differences in Well-Being, and the World Happiness Report. Let's all welcome John Helliwell. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to hear the other presentations and see the common threads. I'm sorry that Frank isn't here in person. It was a lovely presentation, but very complicated, because originally what he's saying, search for happiness is silly, and then he gave ways in which it can go wrong. And then he explained why search for happiness is the right thing to do, but you must do it in the right way. And then he finally ended up by saying that it was all about understanding yourself. So he brought it right back to an individual orientation. To my view, I mean, it's all great work. And the best piece about it was that one where he showed the results of a game he had run. I think it was when he was in Rochester. And he gave people a chance to do the same thing. And the only thing that was being added was doing it for somebody else. And he found there was a significantly higher positive effect for the people who were doing something for others. And to me, of course, that's the fundamental point. Let me make it right at the beginning, because it's very much related to how we study, how we think of happiness and the arts, which is the focus of course, of this seminar. And it's that the really important thing is not, happiness is not an objective for you. It's an objective for society. You can think of yourself as a consumer of happiness and a producer of happiness. The important thing is to be a producer of happiness. And all the evidence that most of you have talked about has been of the essential nature of it as being the more you do to make other people happy, in fact, the happier you yourself will become. But it's certainly wrong, as Frank points out, to seek personal happiness for yourself. Happiness, as many philosophers have said, is not an objective, it's an outcome. And happiness is an outcome of a life well lived, from Aristotle and many others. And what Frank was saying when he was becoming practical, he was showing you ways in which you can live and people can live so as to make other people happy. And that will make them happy too. He put in his codicil about only if it was consistent with their own inner self. Well, of course, that's true. If you're going to produce other people's happiness, you better make sure you're doing it right in a way that preserves your ability to do it in the future. So nice talk. The others, I really enjoyed each one of them. And each one of them, the reason I'm not presenting you with a whole lot of numbers, which I can frequently do, is I'm trying to draw the threads together in what you have been saying. And everybody emphasized, but in a different way, some of what I regard as the fundamental truths of making other people happy with your own happiness is a nice little byproduct. It's doing things with others, for others. And then the question is, what is there to say about the difference in what it is? It can be positive, it can be responding to something negative. Taking myself right back to the introduction by Yuko-san about the wall paintings after the Great Japan East earthquake, I think it was the Kobe earthquake, it took me back to many studies, and I've been involved in some of them, of how people respond to disasters and what happens to happiness in disasters, time and time again. And it's true from trying to make repairs from the Minamata disease in Western Japan, earthquakes 100 years ago in Tokyo, and many earthquakes in various parts of Italy before actually the Great Japan East earthquake and before Fukushima. We had a research project with some Japanese researchers and Italian researchers looking at the effects of earthquakes on happiness and what happens after earthquakes. And it turns out earthquakes actually made people happier in those places where people came out and helped each other, worked together to help others. Why did they get happier? Because they were helping others. But more than that, people uniformly are too pessimistic about how good other people are. So when the people actually do come out and help each other selfishly, as they do in almost any of these natural disasters, people are not only happy that they themselves are are helping, but that they see other people helping other people, and it allows them to change their view about the goodness of others. And that enormously uplifting to feel that you live in a society where other people look after each other, and of course, as a byproduct, look after you as well. And so even after in bad times, people can become happier by not only being helpful to others, but seeing in fact that the world is a more benevolent place than they thought it was. Okay, now how about arts? We know that doing things together is important. Let me give you one more footnote of a study that we had another chapter in the World Happiness Report some years ago about mappiness study, where they phone people up every few minutes and find out how life is going for them, study many thousands of people in many different activities. And so they learned that people who are in nature, people who are on uncrowded streets, people who are, I guess I haven't gone back to look at the details, doing artistic endeavors were happier than other people. And I asked them to go back and reinterpret that evidence and say, let's ask who they were with. They are most unhappy when they were commuting, waiting for a doctor's appointment. And so I said, find out who they were with, which of course these data showed. And it turns out who you were with was way more important than what you were doing. So that people who were sitting in a doctor's office with a friend or family were happier than somebody who was walking in green spaces alone. To commute with a friend was better than doing any of these things alone. Of course, the greatest happiness is to be with others and doing things that are even better. But the dominant feature of it was the connection with others, which of course all you speakers who are still on, and Frank's own research shows that is of fundamental central importance. Now, let's talk about the arts in this context. The there have been a variety of studies about how different kind of arts help. We've had examples this morning. The best ones that were allowed people not to just connect with others like themselves, but to connect with other people and the communities around them. And people have found special power in people actually doing the arts together. I mean, I've already argued doing anything together is better than not, but actually creating things together has some special magic. Hearing music makes you happy. Making music makes you even happier. Making music together makes you happier still. Hearing something funny makes you laugh. Hearing something funny when you're with others and jointly finding it funny and laughing together makes you even happier still. So it's this commonality of creation. And you saw that in the arts projects, you saw it in the California examples. It's when people are together trying to do something that makes life better for others. Let me finally mention something of a research project I've been involved in recently. We have something we've been doing for 5 or 6 years, looking at elementary school students being brought in for a year in elder care facilities, and we find out it changes the nature of their education and lives. This is for a whole year. It changes the lives of all the people in those facilities to a phenomenal way. Answer, why isn't it done everywhere? And the answer is everybody's scared to open doors in what otherwise the prisons that the elder care facilities and schools were. So how can the arts be used to do something about that? Well, there's an operation in Canada called the Health Arts Society. It started in British Columbia. There are now chapters all across the country. One attempt to do that by bringing in professional musicians to elder care facilities and to enliven them and to make those social connections. It's been a great success. The Health Arts Society locally has now said, well, we can do better than that. We can use the arts to actually create a bigger range of connections. So they're combining with the Arts Umbrella, which is a local organization that teaches people a variety of the musical and plastic and dancing arts. And then saying, well, what we're going to try and do is have these artistic endeavors, the creations taking place in a cooperative way with the youngsters and the elderly in the different spaces. In other words, harvesting a social product, making a social product central to this, to say, no, what, it's not just bringing in some professional musician to make the elder care people's lives. And we did hear, of course, from the professional musicians that changed their life to be able to do that. Well, we're trying to now say, why don't we do it much more generally and allow regular use of arts instruction and of school instruction to bring people of different generations, different backgrounds, different linguistic cultures together and to create. Each of them, of course, is contributing what they have to do, to contribute to others. And if I had to leave you with a sentence, I would say that the beauty of art and all the arts, the plastic arts, the performing arts, is that it helps people to come out of themselves and they're inspired to share those arts. And it's an easy and very productive way to build connections among people of the sort that all of us have found make for better lives for them, to leave a world a happier place for the world than it was when you entered the stage. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much for your wonderful summary and also insightful reflections about all the presentation tonight or today, John. And yes, let's give John a round of applause, everyone. That was really wonderful. Thank you so much, John. Yes, and anyway, if you have questions about John's summary and presentation, so please drop them in the chat, and we're gonna have our Q&A session in yeah, actually right now. Yeah, so since we've heard some amazing insights today, and now we'd love to hear from you guys. If you have any questions for our presenters, so feel free to type them in the chat, or you can also raise your hand. And I will be giving the floor to Mary, our Deputy Executive Director, to lead the session.
Thank you so
Mary,
much,
please take it
Joanne.
away.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all the presenters. I did have a question, and I hope this gentleman from Cameroon is still there. Do you want to ask a question directly? He didn't mention to who he wanted to ask that question, but he said what mechanism has been put in by Arts Festival and Happiness to stimulate growth and happiness among young, adult, aging artists in less industrialized countries and developed countries globally. It's May Louisiane, so I'm not sure I'm saying his name properly. Is he still there? Or did he left? And it didn't mention to who he was asking this question. No. Maybe Julia, Yuko, Julia and Yuko, you could answer.
Yeah.
Because you are dealing with different groups of people.
It was. I know that when we had started this, and it was received very well because it was learning about something completely different that they hadn't learned about before, and then we even talked about and actually Mel Vernon, the captain, talked about using it as a model for other smaller communities, just to and start small. I mean, we started very small, and it was just 3 hours, and now we're up at 6 hours. But just to gather, start something small to bring your community together, and especially with the indigenous groups that are there that have been, so misunderstood, and was just a way to do it.
Thank you so much. Yuko?
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh.
I didn't focus. Yeah.
いや、ゆめかさん、必要だったら、通訳お願いします。
Sorry, I didn't focus on.
Can I take? Okay, so
Yeah.
the question was what mechanism has been put in by Art Festival and Happiness to stimulate growth and happiness among young, adult artists in less industrialized countries and developed countries globally. So maybe you cannot answer the question globally, but maybe you could take an aspect of that question based on your experience with communicating with international artists.
ちょっと待ってね、ゆうこさん。今、ゆめかさん教えてくれるのか。
はい。
どうぞ、ゆめかさん。
どのような方法でアートフェスティバルなどで若いアーティストの成長、発展途上の国から来た若いアーティストの成長を助けることができますか？
私たちの場所で開放感を与えることは結構大事なことだと思っています。自由さ、それから自由さを感じるための安心するということですね。で、それは、外から来ている、本当に知らない場所に来ている、でも自分がホームに感じるっていうのは、例えば食事を一緒にするとか、地域の人と、交流する場を設けたりとかすることによって、彼らがここで受け入れられているという感情を抱く。それで、 自由さ、安心さを抱いて、彼らはもっとより、表現が解放されると思います。
I think by providing the freedom, stability, and safety, even though they come from outside, making them feel at home.
You
But
okay?
oh, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Check.
By letting
Fine.
them the freedom, stability,
Found.
safety, even though they come from outside, making them feel like at home, providing them opportunity to
You
connect
like
with local, connecting them through
Fine.
food, feeling accepted, letting them express freely, and I think that will help them grow.
Thank you so much. ありがとうございます。Do we have any questions, other questions? Yes, John.
I'd like to answer that question. The immediate answer from my perspective is don't wait for somebody else to do something. Simply start. And I think that's a part of what Julia was saying already. It can happen in the tiniest space imaginable. And so then you have to do what many of us who've studied these things all over. How do you tell the stories of the things that work in a way that makes them convincing and attractive enough to others that they're prepared to take the risks of doing them? Because I keep emphasizing, if all of these solutions that we all agree are very helpful and wonderful are as good as they are, why aren't they happening everywhere? And the answer is A, because they're not understood. Their benefits are not understood everywhere. And B, because, well, people are busy doing things, but the really big reason is risk aversion. People are afraid of doing things as differently as they have to be. Over the past 30 years, there's been an increasing buildup, not just of negativity we've seen in a variety of ways, but of risk aversion. People are wanting to avoid the chance of being accused of doing something wrong. And so they then deny themselves and others the chances for doing something right. And that's why the schools are becoming more like fortresses. The elder care facilities are becoming more like fortresses. The artistic forms are becoming more the preserve of the experts within them. And it's the essence of what we're talking about here is to open doors to allow people to connect through mutually supportive activities and those with a positive purpose. And I think the only way we're going to solve the problem is if people take it into their own hands, because they can know the safety margins and what they can do. And then they see the people they know, or their neighbors, or their city councilors, or their local representatives, and say, hey, you're blocking us from doing this by some of your zoning laws or whatever. Why don't you open some allow us to go through some doors if you only open these doors? And it has to be done locally. It has to be done at small scale, or you won't get over their lawyers. You really then have to then start building enough experience. It's part of this venture I talked about between the Health Arts Council and Arts Umbrella is that my psychologist research colleague and co-editor Lara Acton has created a team of first-class psychology researchers. So we're collecting information from these people at the beginning and the end of the program. What is it doing? And you'd say, why do we need that? It's so obvious that these programs generally are good. And you say, well, you have to get over the skepticism. You have to fight the risk aversion. If you then go to the health authorities who are denying you the chance to have open doors that allowed the young and old to meet because it was damaging the health or risking falls or risking abduction or all these almost zero probability events that they stop people from meeting in order to avoid. you have to then show them. In fact, there's more lives saved by the connections you create than could ever be lost in terms of healthy life years by closing all these doors and putting them in the unhappy prisons. And so these efforts at risk reduction, trying to avoid bad things, that's what they were doing in a good purpose. They, in fact, are diminishing the possibilities for making lives better. And so those of us who are committed to making lives better for people have to realize that's the world we live in and then adopt a strategy for making these ventures general. And I think it's like the package that both Yuko and Julia were proposing. You do have to start small, and then you tell the stories and help other people to co-create in other places and other spaces. And there are no national splits on this. These issues are absolutely evident in every culture. So it isn't a culture-bound phenomenon. Enough.
Thank you so much for saying this, because I was just thinking about the work we're trying to do on empath, supporting small individuals to start somewhere. So thank you so much. Mark, do you want to add something?
No. Just a big thumbs up. I agree. This notion that we're to me it's like I always would tell young business students, what should I do with my ideas? And I said, follow your heart, trust your heart, follow your joy, it will lead you. I know I was joking online. I said, I too was traumatized by economics, but finally, I think I found the wisdom in the frequency of truth. And so, follow your joy. Don't be afraid. Love is who you are. That's all I have to say.
Keywords in what you just said. Frequency of truth. So good. We do have a question from Bastian. He's from Jakarta, Indonesia. And he wants to ask to all the speakers how you maintain your happiness in this dynamic world, and how to back to your happiness when something bad makes you away from the happiness. Who wants to start? Oh, yes, Mark.
Challenges in life are good for our spiritual muscle. And I always keep reminding myself that, life is a joyful journey, and it has ups and downs. And thank goodness for the challenges that we face. So bad things will happen, yes, but if we're correct about joy prevails in spite of all of the challenges of life. So I wake up in the morning and I think every day is Christmas. I had a friend at 65 who was told he had 6 months to live, terminal leukemia, and he lived another 30 years. Because he told me every day I wake up is like Christmas. So why are you so grumpy? What's your sad face about? And that's how he lived his life, and he inspired me to continue that journey. And my grandfather lived to 95. Both my grandparents lived to 95. My grandfather, after he started freaking out about dying of a heart attack at 65, he said, just live it up. Live your life to the fullest. So, and I enjoy coffee in the morning, so that brings me joy.
Thank you so much, Mark. Julia, you want to say something?
Yeah, I with so much turmoil in the world, and to me it gets, and you hear everybody is coming in and this is terrible, we're never going to, we can't go on. And what I do and try to with my team is, Well, what can we do? Let's come back into our small circle and at ACE, and what can we do today for a community member? You know, I can put more coloring sheets out on the line that people can pick up for free, and it's going to make a small difference. It's not going to change all the chaos that's going on, but make that small difference in your community where you can, however small your circle of is, it's one person or three people or whatever, but go back to what you know and give that little area a hug.
True, that's true. Yes, John?
There are two things we can do as experts or people who study the field to people who ask that question. One is the invocation that Mark was saying, but in terms of what we can tell to give them courage to do that, Julia's got the right suggestion. Do what you can locally. There are two pieces of research that are helpful to encourage that. One is that, in fact, most of happiness is, when we look at how happy people actually are, it's based on their very local lives. It's what goes on in their jobs and their neighborhoods and their families. It really doesn't have, however bad or good they may feel about it, what's going on in the other side of their country or in national capitals. And so anything you can do to improve lives of those close to you and with as far a spread as you can get are in fact not only what you can do, they're the most effective ways of acting in any event. Much more better than going to a protest meeting is to actually take your life and use it to make lives better for others. The other thing that I tell people is who are worried about, in fact, being too trusting and too reaching out to others, is to say, in fact, people are much better than you think they are. And so that means that they're going to be more willing to accept what you're doing than you think they are. And that's where we get that. The evidence we get that is from these wallet dropping experiments. So we know from having asked people how happy they would, how likely their wallet would be returned if it was dropped by them and found by a police officer, a stranger, or a neighbor. It makes them enormously happy to feel that other people would look after them. And the experiments that have been done show that these answers are pretty good in the sense that those cities or those countries where people think wallets would be returned are in fact the cities or countries where they are more likely to be returned. But that universally around the world, people are too pessimistic about the kindness of others. So the actual return of experimentally lost wallets across the world was twice as high as people thought it was. Well, we're just stopping ourselves from reaching out for others and getting that age-related positivity effect that Mark is demonstrating and living through, because you're too pessimistic about others. So to learn the truth about others is obviously an absolutely free way of becoming happier, but more importantly, reaching out to build happiness for others, because you learn that it's actually good for them and it's not as dangerous as people tell you it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, we need to change. There is a need to change of a shift in our mind to be more optimistic and positive when we start the day. Yes, definitely. Yuko, yes.
Okay, after all expert to say something is, I feel really afraid, but I will try. ゆめかさん、私はちょっと日本語で言いますね。私たちのコミュニティでは、私はすごくこうシェアすることを大事にしていて、私はシェアすると、いろんなことをシェアします。感情とか、その場もシェアしますし、食事もシェアしますし、そのシェアすると、それを皆さんが返してくれますよね。で、その交換をなされた時に私はすごくやっぱり幸せを感じます。でも、 大事なことはやっぱりみんなからバックされることは期待せずに、すごくオープンにシェアしていくってことを、いつも心がけてます。で、私はそれをやってるとみんなもどんどんそうやってくれるんですよ。そういうコミュニティがどんどん広がっていく、拡大されていくっていうところで私は幸せを感じているし、幸せを共有しています。
I place importance in sharing in the community. I share my emotions, space, food, and in return, I find that others will reciprocate. I think, however, the important thing is sharing without the expectation of others doing the same. But by me starting the sharing, everyone follows and the community forms, and I find happiness through the sharing, exchange of sharing.
I think yeah, our project is smallest project in this today's meeting, but yeah, also I don't want to be afraid, as all of you say. So that's what I'm
Thank you
doing.
so
That's what I'm
much.
doing.
Oh, that's good. I truly think that it's not because we're small that we cannot accomplish big. And everything starts really small. So I think we are done with our question period. I don't see any other questions. So I'm going to give back control to our MC, Joanne. Take it away. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mary, for leading the Q&A session. And of course, thank you to our presenter for answering the questions and sharing their opinions and knowledge about festival and happiness. All right, so everyone, let's give them a round of applause once again. Yay. All right. So now we're moving on to our special art program. And I'm going to be introducing, or I'm delighted to introduce our Mizuhiki artist, Yukari Suda. So she's an artist working with Mizuhiki, the traditional Japanese art of decorative boards, symbolizing connection and harmony. Through her exploration of lines, vertical for people, horizontal for relationships, she creates works that unite rather than divide. In an increasingly digital world, her art invites us to slow down, reflect, and rediscover genuine human connection. Please enjoy this interactive experience and let your imagination roll. Yukari-san, the floor is yours.
はい、ありがとうございます。津田ゆかりと申します。では、ちょっと共有をさせていただきたいと思います。
Thank you very much. My name is Yukari. I will share my screen.
はい、見えてますでしょうか。はい。
Can you
私は日本の東京でアーティストをしている津田ゆかりと申します。
ゆかりさん、
はい。
水引のが映ってて、多分プレゼンテーションが映ってないですよ。
あ、プレゼンテーション映ってませんか？
資料。
あ
なんか、水引の、デザインの方が映ってて。
あ、ごめんなさい。あら。
もう一度やってみましょう。 そうですね。はい。バッチリです。
お待たせいたしました。私は日本の東京でアーティストをしている須田ゆかりと申します。日本で1400年の歴史を持つ伝統文化に水引があります。この文化は人とのつながりを重んじ、思いやりという心のつながりの表れです。人々とのつながりを改めて見直すことをテーマに、この水引を使って制作をしています。この文化を継承し、現代のアレンジを加え、未来へつなげたいと思っています。はい。
So my name is Yukari Suda, and I'm an artist based in Tokyo, Japan. In Japan, there's a traditional culture with a history of over 1400 years called Mizuhiki. This culture values the connections between people and express the bonds of compassion and thoughtfulness with the theme of re-examining the connections among people. I create artworks using Mizuhiki. By preserving this tradition while adding modern arrangement, I hope to pass it on to the future.
なぜこの活動をしているのかをお話しさせていただきたいと思います。私は幼少から頭の中、感情を言葉に表すのが上手ではなくて、人との距離感とか愛し方、人生の、そしてアートのテーマになっています。
Let me share why I'm engaged in this artistic practice. Since childhood, I have not been very good at expressing my thoughts and emotions in words. Because of this, the themes of my life and my art have become the distance between people and how to love.
直感や感覚で捉える感受性を言葉でなく形にする。それを線の表現として追求しています。私はこの線を以下のように捉えています。縦の線は人で、横の線はつながりで、背景は社会です。縦の線を基調として、横の支えを必要として、社会と一体となり美しさを生みます。京都の東福寺に通天橋という橋がかかっています。それはまさに縦の線と横の線の構造物が自然の中に見事に調和した美学だと私は感じています。
I try to give form to the sensitivity that I perceive through intuition and feeling rather than through words. I explore this through the expression of lines. I see these lines in the following way. Vertical lines represent people, horizontal lines represent connections, and the background represents society. The vertical lines form the foundation, yet they need the support of horizontal connections, and together with society, they create beauty. In Kyoto, there is a bridge at Tofukuji Temple called Tsutenkyo. To me, it embodies the aesthetic of vertical and horizontal lines harmoniously integrated with nature, a perfect representation of the balance and beauty I seek to express in my work.
水引という伝統文化についてお話をさせていただきます。水引は和紙をくより糊を引いて頑丈で張りのある飾り紐です。直径が1ミリ、長さが90センチです。はい。
Let me tell you about the traditional Japanese art of Mizuhiki. Mizuhiki is a decorative cord made from tightly twisted washi paper coated with glue to create a strong and resilient texture. Each strand is about 1 millimeter in diameter and 90 centimeters long.
小野妹子という遣隋使が中国に渡り、その当時の航海は命がけで無事に日本へ帰国できるようにと、天皇への貢ぎ物の返礼品に紅白の麻紐が付けられていた。これが起源だと言われています。はい。
Its origin is said to date back to the Asuka period when Ono no Imoko, a Japanese envoy to China, brought back gifts from the Tang dynasty. Because sea voyages at the time were very dangerous and often a matter of life and death, the gifts offered to the emperor were adorned with red and white hemp cords to symbolize a safe return. This is considered the beginning of Mizuhiki.
そこから宮廷、神事、大切な人の贈り物を供え物につけられて、今の結納ご祝儀袋へとつながっています。人とのつながりを重んじ、形を変えずに今に至る伝統文化なんですね。
From there, the custom spread through imperial court ceremonies, Shinto rituals, and eventually to offerings and gifts for loved ones, evolving into today's engagement offerings, which is called yuino, and celebratory envelopes, noshi and goshugi bukuro. Mizuhiki is therefore a traditional culture that values human connection and has been preserved in form and spirit for over 1400 years.
シャイな日本人の表に現れにくい心の深い部分の様子を表す言葉で、奥ゆかしさというのがあります。島国の文化特有なのかもしれませんが、大切に思っていますっていうことをそのまま伝えるんではなくって、贈り物に気持ちを添えるっていう言葉の代わりに思いを届ける、心を通わせるものであります。
In Japanese culture, there is a word that expresses the subtle beauty of restrained emotions, okuyukashisa, a graceful reserve or quiet elegance. Perhaps because Japan is an island nation, people have long preferred to express feelings not through direct words, like I care about you, but through gestures, gifts, and act of giving, communicating heartfelt emotions without words, yet deeply connecting heart to heart.
この水引という文化が今薄れているように感じます。世の中が便利になって時間が短縮できて多くの情報が得られる中で、その分失いかけているものは人とのつながりではないかと感じています。日本には言葉を介さずに感情を表す言葉で以心伝心というのがあって、相手の魂を感じたりしています。はい。
I feel that the culture of Mizuhiki is gradually fading today in a world that has become more convenient, where time can be saved and information is instantly accessible. I sense that what we are beginning to lose is our connection with others. In Japan, there's an expression, ishin denshin, which means communicating from one heart to another without words. It reflects how people once sensed and understood each other's souls through feeling and intuition.
同じ人間同士、言葉だけでない心の部分で通じ、つながれることをもっと大切にしたいと感じています。アートの力で心の奥深いところ部分で人と人がつながり合える。一緒に時間、場所を共有する経験、体感に触れる気づきから人とのつながりを見直せる場を作りたいと思っています。はい。
As fellow human beings, I believe we should cherish these nonverbal emotional connections, heart to heart connection, the ways in which we understand and relate to one another beyond language.
シェアするアートプロジェクトですね。私はアートは時間と場所を共有して人とつながり、一つの目的に向かって楽しみ、ワクワクしながら一緒に何かを生むことだと思っています。はい。
I believe that art is about connecting with people by sharing time and space, coming together with excitement and joy to create something toward a common purpose.
原始の時代から人間は一人では生きてこれないから集団で知恵を絞って今の進化を遂げているんだと思います。一人はみんな弱くて当たり前なんですね。今は個人で解決しようとしてしまいがちで、日本の自殺率は残念ながら世界の4位の多さにもつながっています。はい。はい。
Since ancient times, human beings have survived and evolved not by being themselves, but by gathering as a community and using collective wisdom. Each of us by nature is vulnerable on our own. And yet today we often try to solve everything individually. I feel this tendency is connected to the increasing rate of loneliness and suicide, and Japan unfortunately ranks fourth in the world for suicide rate.
心と言葉を交わし合える触れ合いを大切にしたい。ご縁や当たり前の日常に感謝できるものの心の余裕があってこそ、何もしない時間、頭を軽やかに、甘えたり、手を借りたり、できないことをお願いするだけ、AI にお願いするだけではなくて、人だからこそそこに感情が芽生えると思っています。はい。
I want to cherish the moments of human connection where hearts and words are exchanged with warmth, to feel gratitude for our relationships, and the simple moments of daily life requires a peaceful and open heart. We also need time to pause, to lighten our minds, and to allow ourselves to lean on others when we need help. It's not only about relying on AI or technology for what we can't do, because it's precisely in human relationships that emotions and empathy are born.
そんなハートフルな関係性で、愛と笑顔とハッピーが世の中を満たしてくれるアートプロジェクトを展開しています。
Through these heartful relationships, I aim to create an art project that fills the world with love, smiles, and happiness.
ここからは、私の過去の作品をご覧いただけたらと思います。こちらはインターナショナルの受賞歴になります。
From here, I would like to share some of my past works with you. These include pieces that have received international awards.
こちらは東京の銀座の外車のショールームになります。
This work was exhibited at a foreign car showroom in Ginza, Tokyo.
こちらは東京のプリンスパークホテルのブライダルフェアでテーブルのセンターのオブジェを作りました。
And this piece was created as a table centerpiece for a bridal event held at the Tokyo Prince Park Hotel.
こちらは神楽坂のホテルで水引と篠わずりというテーマで作りました。
At a hotel in Kagurazaka, Tokyo, I created a work based on the theme Mizuhiki and Shinozeri.
こちらはパリの一区で日本のセレクトショップで空間を作らせていただきました。
This piece was also produced for a Japanese select shop located in the first arrondissement or Paris.
こちらは映像制作に使われたものです。
This piece was also produced or used in a video production.
こちらは東京の渋谷のクラブのイベントでステージのオブジェを作らせていただきました。
This is at an event in Shibuya, Tokyo. I created a stage installation.
こちらは、東京のスパニッシュレストランですね、の作品になります。
This piece was also created for a Spanish restaurant in Tokyo.
こちらは、シェアオフィスのオープニングに作らせていただいた人をモチーフに作ったものですね。はい。
This piece was created for the opening of a shared office space using a person as a motive.
でこちらは最後になるんですけれども、東京都の下町ですね、その廃校で毎年行われているイベントで、生徒さんの手を借りてオブジェを作って、来場者の人に楽しんでいただきました。
This work was created in the suburb of Tokyo at a former school for an annual event. With the help of students, we created installations that visitors could enjoy and interact with.
以上になります。ご覧いただきありがとうございました。アート作品を通してハートフルな人とのつながりの場を日本と世界へこれからも発信、提供していきたいと思っています。
That concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. Through my art, I hope to continue creating and sharing spaces that foster heartful human connections, both in Japan and around the world. Thank you.
ありがとうございます。では続けて今回のアートプログラムに入らせていただきたいと思います。画面を切り替えさせていただきます。
So now we're going to start the art program for this event. I'm gonna switch the screen.
はい。はい。今回皆様からアンケートで答えていただいたメッセージ、本当にありがとうございました。皆さんのメッセージを一つ一つ心に受け止めながら水引の結び方で表現をしてみました。
Thank you very much for the messages that we asked through the survey from the participants. As I read each one carefully, I try to express them through the art of Mizuhiki knot tying.
水引の結び方の一種で、淡路結びというものがあります。一度結ぶとほどけにくく、長く続く絆を承知をしています。
There is a type of Mizuhiki knot called the awaji knot. Once tied, it does not easily come undone, and it symbolizes a long-lasting bond.
私は時間を共有することにつながりを感じています。今回は素敵な機会をいただき、世界中の人が集まって、この時間内につながれることをコンセプトにアートプログラムを作りました。
I feel a sense of connection through the time we shared together. With this wonderful opportunity, I created an art program based on the concept of people from all over the world coming together and connecting within this moment in time.
パソコンの操作は不慣れではありますが、皆さんのメッセージを一つにつなげて、思いを一つにできたらと作りました。
I'm not very familiar with using a computer, but I created this piece hoping to bring all of your messages together as one and unite everyone's feelings.
ご覧いただけたら幸いです。
I hope you enjoy it.
はい。以上になります。どうも本日はありがとうございました。
That's all from me. Thank you for today.
All right. Thank you so much for such a wonderful art program, Yukari-san. And thank you so much for letting us express our opinions and also emotions during this time. So everyone, let's give Yukari-san a round of applause.
ありが
Yes.
とうございます。
Thank you so much, Yukari-san. All right, so to make this, okay. So the result of the art program is going to be shared with everyone who participated through email and within the week. We'll be sending it within the week. Yeah. All right, so to make this event even more memorable rather, we'd like to take a group photo. And if you'd like to be included, please keep your camera turned on and smile. Yuhei will take the screenshot. Yuhei-san?
Hi, thank you for joining today. Please show me your favorite pose and your wonderful smile, okay? 3, 2, 1. One more, please. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the screenshots, Yuhei-san. And now to explain about the feedback survey and donation, I would like to call on Yuka-san, a member of Empath Foundation. Yuka-san?
Hi, my name is Yuka van den Hoek. Now, please allow me to introduce our organization a little bit. So our organization is called the Empath, and the Empath Foundation is dedicated to connecting people, communities, and organizations who share a common goal, making the world a better place. By fostering empathy, collaboration, and cultural exchange, we aim to build inclusive and sustainable futures. The slides, by the way, shows the breakdown of the support we received last year. So, can you go to the next slide? You can support our mission by participating our short questionnaire and making a donation. Both can be done easily by scanning the QR code displayed on the screen or find the URL on the chat box. So I'll take the time and maybe you can go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. And your feedback helps us grow, and your generosity enables us to continue this important work. Thank you for being part of our journey and for believing in our power of empathy and connection. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yuka-san. And now to officially end today's event, I would like to invite Mary, our Deputy Executive Director, to share a few final words. Mary-san?
Thank you so much, Joanne, and thank you everybody for attending this meeting. This presentation, I am so humbled with the artists and the highly expert presenters, John Helliwell, Mark Anielski, and Frank Martela. I have so many things in my mind, but the key takeaway for me is really stop chasing happiness, but live the present moment. And we have heart that support our soul to continue on. We cannot have happiness all the time. Life is ups and down. It's like it's not like a river that is quiet. It goes up and down. And we need to enjoy these moments, even though it's negative, we have to enjoy it and then try our best to make it better for our surrounding. Happiness comes from ourselves, yes, but also from helping others. And I do feel that way when I'm helping entrepreneurs in my day-to-day life. I feel so much happiness helping someone accomplish their own dreams. I would like to touch a word on the artists. Yukari-san, when I saw you different pieces, I thought about the universe, the way the threads are meandering and turning, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like a representation of the universe. And that's what we are. We are connected to the universe, and we are one with the universe. Every single individual is connected, and we need to try our best to find the positive from each other and continue to connect. And also, John Helliwell, thank you so much. I love so much what you have said, and I feel that because we're small, we can help each other. And because we are small, doesn't mean we cannot accomplish big. It's just going to start small, and we're going to grow as we go. So I would like to thank everybody, the participant, the team, and our presenters. And next year, I hope to see you all with our next program we're going to work on going forward. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful night for those in Japan. And wonderful day for those who are in Canada, because it's only 12:30 for us. Thank you so much. Back to you, Joanne.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of Art Festival and Happiness. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And if you'd like to get in touch, we'll be showing our official social media pages and emails on the screen. And I hope you feel inspired, uplifted, and connected. Until next time, everyone, take care and keep spreading happiness. Goodbye, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.